Let me guess, you have tried to have conversations in a foreign language, but it's just not happening. You freeze up completely. The first time you take your vocab and you take your grammar and you try to apply it to a conversation, you just get hit by this anxiety about speaking a foreign language that you did not expect. Fun fact, for us monolinguals, this is completely normal. It's just not particularly pretty to talk about. I know, because I've been here too, and I've had to learn how to fix this for myself. So if you are terrified of speaking a foreign language, especially to native speakers, even people that you're close to, I'm going to teach you how to fix it. So first, let's talk about why this happens, because I'm a firm believer in understanding the reason for the symptom and then fixing the reason, not just fixing the symptom. If you are like most monolinguals, or if you're even bilingual and you're trying to learn a third language, memorizing vocab, memorizing grammar, going through those conjugation tables are really, really easy. So when you start to open your mouth and have those conversations, it's really surprising how difficult it is. Because when we're taught to learn foreign languages in school, we are taught that vocab plus grammar equals fluency. But that's not at all what's going on here. Yes, you do need vocab and grammar to have conversations, but fluency is a whole other skill. It's like vocab plus grammar plus fluency equals conversations. So when we're doing all that we're supposed to be doing and then we try something new for the first time and there's just a wall, it's honestly kind of traumatic because you don't realize that you're in as vulnerable as a position as you are, because you've never been in that position and you haven't been told that that's what happens. You've been told, oh, you got the vocab and grammar, you're set. So what happens when we start down this downward spiral of anxiety and overwhelm? Well, first off, you're probably translating in your head, which means you hear your target language, you spend like a minute translating in your head, like translating what they said, and then coming up with a response and translating those words back into your target language and then saying them. And that is like an excruciating amount of time when you're trying to speak a foreign language, especially to a native speaker, because you realize how long it's taking. Like, it takes 10 times as long to translate in your head. But if you've never been taught to speak a language efficiently and well, you've only been taught to take exams and tests in school, then that's what you're gonna end up doing. Then you start to feel self-conscious. You are hyper aware, hyper vigilant of any potential thing that could go wrong. You're terrified of making mistakes because mistakes must equal failure. If you make mistakes, then obviously you're not fluent. And obviously it's a waste of time, you're doing something wrong, you're not good enough. Again, remember, you are not alone. So many people go through this. There are countless people who get extreme anxiety when speaking a foreign language. It's completely normal. So that's the first piece of good news. The first piece of good news is it's normal. It's a completely reasonable thing to happen to any language learner. The second piece of good news is that I can help you fix it. So as a language coach, my job is to help my clients understand what they need to be able to achieve their language learning goals, and the anxiety of speaking a new language is one of those things. So let's talk about how to make this easier. Now, the common response I see to this is to stop trying to speak and cram that vocab, cram that grammar, because when you go to have those conversations, you know you have the words in there somewhere, but when you try to use them, they don't come out. So you think, oh, I just need to learn them better. I need to memorize more. It becomes almost like a defense mechanism because trying to speak feels bad, but you know that memorizing vocab and learning new vocab is good. So first things first, I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you actually need more vocab, or do you need to learn to use that vocab? Go ahead and take some time to think about that for yourself, because the answer is different for everybody. And if you think about it, give yourself a chance to really process that, then you'll find the answer. But I can't tell you because I don't know you. So if the real answer is that you don't need any more vocab, you need to learn how to use the vocab, which I'm pretty sure is what's actually going on here. The simple answer is you need to practice having conversations. I always say, make sure that what you're doing to learn a language is how you plan to use a language. So if you want to have conversations, you gotta practice having conversations. But if that's creating a lot of anxiety, what do you do? Instead of going from 0 to having full-fledged conversations with native speakers, there are several steps that you can take in between. And you can take all the steps, you can take like 2 or 3 steps. It really, you can find out what feels good for you, what feels like you're making progress, what doesn't feel overwhelming, and what makes you feel good about your language learning. So first of all, if you have a lot of anxiety about having conversations in a foreign language, you need to start speaking in a low pressure, low stress environment first. We need to take away the stress and the pressure that you're putting on yourself to perform the language. So if you are too anxious, maybe you're too shy, maybe you're socially introverted, you can take away the human aspect of the conversations and talk to AI. And in a minute, I'll give you specific examples of apps and resources that you can use to build up your conversational ability. But the fact of the matter is, if you are really anxious in conversations, you need to remove the stress of the other person that you are projecting this anxiety onto, because either A, that person that you're trying to talk to doesn't actually care that you're struggling, or B, they do care and you don't want to be talking to them anyways, because that's not productive. So that's number 1. You start speaking in low stress environments first. You don't have to jump into a language exchange with 5 other people who are only speaking your target language. You can take away that stimulus that's freaking you out. Second thing, once you remove the thing that's causing your anxiety and you start practicing having those conversations without that anxiety until it goes away. Because side note, anxiety isn't something that you ignore. Anxiety is a signal that there's something that needs to change. So if you remove that thing temporarily, and you can build your confidence so you can have conversations in the environments that you want to without that anxiety. And another thing that makes this easier is to change your mindset. Just like removing the high pressure parts of learning to speak a language, this also takes time. Try not to focus on perfection, because you're not going to be perfect and it's not a personal failing. It doesn't mean anything bad. In fact, honestly, actually making mistakes is good, because making mistakes is how you learn. It is uncomfortable at first. It is something that you have to learn to be okay with, but that is part of learning a new language, is to have some humility. Get used to accepting the idea that you're not going to speak perfectly, ever, because you don't even speak perfectly in your native language. You just aren't insecure about it. Your conversations are going to be messy. You're going to start with caveman speak. My name, Jamie. I like pizza. Like, that is the bare bones of language. And when you don't have anything else, that's how you're going to start. And you're gonna feel like an idiot, and that's okay, because you're doing it right. Now, let's talk about resources that can help with this particular problem. So I mentioned that in order to fix this fear of speaking the language, you need to add a few more steps in between where you are now to having those full-fledged conversations. There are many, many steps that you can take. Here are some apps that you can use to guide you through these steps. One step that you can take before having conversations, having verbal conversations, is you can have text conversations. It's not the same, it is a different skill, but it can build up on your conversations. So if you want the ability to also text, write in your target language, it might be beneficial to you to kind of divert slightly into texting and chatting with people, and then build up those skills and then start speaking along with it. So while you're texting, say the words out loud, so that way the ridiculousness that you feel about trying to speak the new language, only you can see it and only you can feel it, because you're just sitting there texting. Nobody can see you, nobody can hear you. So if you text and then say it out loud, it can really build up your fluency without you having the pressure of actually talking to that person. And you can do that with free apps like Tandem or HelloTalk. Once you build up those relationships with those people, then you can have those full-fledged conversations. There are, of course, steps that you can take in between those two things. But if texting is something that you want to be doing in your target language anyways, this might be a good way to just kind of combine the two and use your texting to help give your speaking a leg up. Now, if real people at all, no matter if you can see them, hear them, they can see you, hear you, if you don't want to deal with live, normal human beings at all at first, you got options. Then you can use apps like Speakly or Linguist, which provide you with chatbots. Like you're talking to ChatGPT or something, except you're doing it in your target language and using tech and resources that are meant to develop your ability to use your target language. This, again, removes the person that you're terrified of judging you and just gets you to focus on just using the language in a safe environment where you can remove that pressure and just get straight to actually trying to use the language verbally. Because the only thing that can judge you is the robot, and the robot can't judge you, it's a robot. Or if you're okay with the slightly minuscule human aspect and you want to stretch that a little bit, there are apps that provide you ways to record yourself speaking and other people can judge them. Not judge them, but you know what I mean. Like they can listen to them and give you pronunciation tips or like tell you you're doing great and stuff like that. Along that list, we have SpeechLing, which can just record them and then say them and keep them for yourself. But if you decide to submit them, SpeechLing is a bunch of pronunciation coaches. Like they are professionals, so they will like tell you if you did okay with your pronunciation or support you. Or if you want to just use your peers, other people who speak your target language natively and likely are learning your native language. I think it's Babbel. Part of the lessons when you go through and you learn new vocab and stuff, it says, oh, you want to practice this phrase or this grammar point or whatever it is that lesson is about with other people, with the community. Then you submit an audio recording of yourself saying that, and then other people in that community can support you. So it's a kind of way to microdose having other people listen to you speak, but in a way that's specifically designed to be supportive and productive and make you feel good. Especially if you're really anxious about being judged, criticized, if you're really anxious at making mistakes, this can really help to build up your confidence in your ability so that you can eventually get to those full-fledged conversations that you're looking for. So the next step after those simple short recordings is working with a tutor, because a tutor is like, it's literally another human being, but a tutor is specifically like their job is to promote your ability to have conversations. Their job is to make you feel good. If they don't make you feel good, if they make you feel bad or they make it too difficult, then find another tutor. But generally, the point of a productive language tutor is to give you the space to make mistakes and give you the space to get some kind of feedback from a professional tutor. A popular app for this is italki, and if you're learning Spanish specifically, Baselang is also really, really popular. It's kind of that like second to last step between being terrified of having conversations with human beings and just like not caring, because after this, then you go straight back to Tandem and HelloTalk, like the first point I mentioned, because Tandem and HelloTalk is those full-fledged language exchanges with strangers. So once you hit that, you know you're good. Once you say, you know, I'll go into that app and see if I can meet a stranger who I can practice my target language with. And I'm not particularly worried, at least you're not worried enough that's preventing you from trying at all. That's when you know you've made it. Once you're comfortable with having those conversations with strangers on Tandem or HelloTalk or a similar place, that's how you know that you've accepted that mistakes means you're learning, that perfection, you'll never get there. You'll have accepted that in order to have the conversational fluency that you're looking for and feeling confident and comfortable in having those conversations, first you gotta look like an idiot. You gotta sound like you have no idea what you're talking about. You're going to sound like a little itty bitty baby, except you're gonna be an adult, and that can be a really scary feeling. But as long as you do the things that I mentioned in this video and use some of the resources that I mentioned in this video, you should be much closer to having those conversations without the anxiety. And as always, if any of the resources that I mentioned in this video sound good to you, I have links below in the description with my blog post reviews of all of them. However, I mentioned a lot of resources. There's a ton of them. And while they will all help you to get closer to getting rid of that anxiety and having confident, full conversations in your target language, it's still gonna take some trial and error before you can figure out which of them will help and if they're working. However, if you don't want to spend the time and the energy and, you know, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see which of these apps may or may not be helpful for you, and trying to figure out when it's okay to decide that it's not working for you, or if you just have to wait, and all of those anxious thoughts that come around, I can help you build a plan that is specifically focused on you, your goals, your needs. Because that's exactly what I do with my clients. I help them to create a personalized language learning strategy just for them where we fix problems like the anxiety of having those conversations. So if that sounds like something that you need in your language learning, click the link below to book a free consultation with me. So that way I can help you figure out exactly what's holding you back and exactly how to fix it. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new one all about how to learn languages. Bye.